Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Community Conversations. I'm Dan McKee, Lieutenant Governor, and tonight, thank you for joining us. Every week we talk about really important things that are happening in Rhode Island. Tonight's no different. We're going to talk about the Census 2020. Very, very important issue. You're going to hear all the reasons why we need to pay attention to it, even though it's difficult to pay attention to these issues that are front and center. Very, very critical for our state long term because of the COVID-19, because of the health crisis that we're going through. But we would like to, pay attention and share this out. If you're watching this, please share this program out. Many, many thousands of people will see it. And we think that's going to have a dramatic impact on Rhode Island in terms of its getting an accurate count, which is going to be so critical for all the resources that the state of Rhode Island receives federally, and it impacts every community in the state of Rhode Island. As you know, 39 cities and towns, everyone's important, and every community that makes up the communities is important. And the census is an effort to actually show the amount of people that are living in our state, community by community, all 39 cities and towns. So we're going to get right to that shortly. But I wanted to just talk a little bit about the efforts that are going on to help the small businesses and the things that we're doing right now. Our office is doing a Take It Outside program. I can't wait to get to Central Falls to take a look. But here we are in East Greenwich at the Odeum Theater. It's a great spot. Certainly one of the facilities, nonprofit, that is struggling, just like our Blackstone River Theater here in the town of Cumberland, where I live. But here we are. And so we were on with East Greenwich with the town manager, Andy Nada, and along with the Chamber of Commerce, Steve Lombardi and his team. And if you look real close, it says East Greenwich welcomes Lieutenant Governor McKee. So we think that is, I kind of liked that when I saw it, but I don't know if anybody else did, but I liked it. But it reflects the fact that the work that we're doing, our office, the Rhode Island Small Business Coalition, and many, many others, municipal leaders, to support our small businesses is resonating around the state. And I wanted to show a picture too, Ben, of that's us in Warren yesterday. Working with with the town manager in Warren. Warren Kate was there with us and introducing us to all these small businesses. And we're getting doing a Take It Outside tour of small businesses. We'll be in all 39 cities and towns when we're done. And one of our subtle themes of it is that it's not just an ice cream shop. It is a business. It employs people. There we are with Kristen in North Kingstown, with the owner of the Inside Scoop. It is not just an ice cream shop. The hairdressers, the photography studios, the restaurants, the daycare centers, on and on and on. The list goes on and on and on that we rely on in the state of Rhode Island. So I'm hearing feedback that our small businesses need help, and we're doing the very best we can to make that happen. I authored and I sent the governor a letter last night to talk about how our small businesses are struggling with the grant program, that the COVID-19 federal dollars. $50 million has been allocated, but up to date, only $7 million have been distributed. And so those are the three highlights that I talked about. Just leave it there, Ben. Let's simplify the application. We're talking to people right now, businesses that have spent over 8 hours, some as much as 10 to 12 hours, with their accountants to work their way through the application process that currently exists. No wonder we've only hit 800 businesses when we should have hit 10,000 businesses by now. In a 6-week time frame. And then the second thing is make sure that we expand the qualifications of the businesses. Right now, daycares are not eligible for that grant money. Sole proprietors are now, we're talked about today. The governor mentioned that sole proprietors will be eligible in a few weeks, a week and a half from now. That's good. We've been asking for that. But let's make sure every business in the state can qualify for that. I know that they're gonna bump up the number, I believe, up to 50 employees. That was a recommendation I made couple months ago, and also to get it into these businesses. And finally, let's ensure an equitable allocation of these funds. I just said about the 39 cities and towns and about the value of the census. It's all about equity and making sure that everybody's counted, and then the resources that go to our communities, they're allocated in a way proportionally on different metrics and demographics and income levels, and there's a number of factors that happens. But in this case, let's make sure that these grant monies, the first 50 million, we'll be asking for another 75 million to help these small businesses. But let's ensure that they go out equitably throughout all 39 cities and towns. And the way that you do that is allocate the funds based on population and allow the municipal leaders to distribute the grants. They know who their small businesses are. They can get that money out very quickly. We don't have to rely on a consulting firm, from out-of-state consulting firm that we're paying a couple $2 million, $2 or $3 million right now to allocate these funds. If the communities need some funding, then give them a management fee to manage the allocation of the grants. But this is very important, and the reason I'm bringing it up now is that if you're in a small business, or if you have you do business with a small business that is struggling, make sure that we support them. And one of the ways you can support them is make sure that the Governor of Commerce knows that we want to make sure that we're including thousands of businesses, not just several hundreds of businesses, in the effort to provide them with grants. That is an allowable use, by the way, of that $1.25 billion, the federal dollars that the state received several months ago. These dollars need to go out, and they need to go out fast and get into our small businesses. And our guest tonight with James Diossa, Maria Rivera, who's positioned to be our next mayor of Central Falls as well. They know that their businesses need it, and they know who their businesses are. Heck, I've walked the streets with the mayor and town council president Rivera. So that's my opening. The other one I always want to leave with this too, on education. Look, we have thousands of students, 145,000 students in our public schools. In addition, we have thousands more that attend our private schools, our mayoral academies, our charter schools, our home school. They attend school outside of our state. It doesn't matter whether they're high income, low income, moderate income. It really doesn't matter whether they're a minority or a non-minority. Those students are losing hundreds of hours of learning time right now, and we need to be intentionally strategizing how to fix that. Now, one of the things that I'm offering and suggesting is to do what I did in the town of Cumberland. Open up a mayor or municipal education department that goes 52 weeks out of the year, and it is structured in such a way that meets the community's needs. That's how we could potentially pick up on these hundreds of hours of lost learning time. And we're talking about as much as 1,000 hours of lost learning time between March 2020 and March 2021. And we know that the efficiency of our virtual learning, God bless our teachers for figuring out how to do it, and our administrators, but it's not 100% effective. All right, so we got to understand that we're losing time in the classroom. We got to figure out options and strategies to give our students and give our families the benefit of the learning that they need in order to, become good citizens and to contribute to our economy, a decade down the line. So those are two things I'm doing: the small business and this education piece. There's a lot more we're doing, but if you need any help talking about any of the issues that are impacting you right now, you can call our office 222-2371, or you can email us on any related issue at ltgov20@gmail.com. Our office answers those, and then whether it's an unemployment issue, whether it's a small business issue, SBA issue, or it happens to be a Department of Business Regulation or a local municipal issue, we'll take the information and we'll make sure that it gets in the right hands so that you can get an answer and get some help for the things that you need. So, and also one more reminder: share this out. If you're listening in tonight live, share it out. This information that we're going to hear right now is critical information about the census 2020. So could we bring on Mayor Diossa and Councilwoman President Maria Rivera, and I think that we also have Luis Estrada with us as well, right? So that's great. And then we have one other person. We got Jordan on too. Do we have Jordan who's doing some field managing, Louis? I guess we have the. I don't think we have the video, but we have the audio.
Jordan was driving last I knew, so she will be on soon.
All right, so we'll bring Jordan on when she can come on. Mayor, how are you?
I'm all right. How are you doing?
We're doing good, and I know that you've been front and center on this census, but just give us a little overview of how this COVID is impacting, your community, the comeback city, right, of Central Falls. Tell us what's going on there, and I'll ask Maria the same question.
Yeah, look, I think Central Falls is no secret been a hot spot and experienced many challenges that I think from what I've gathered throughout this whole process is that Central Falls has revealed some of the issues from a micro standpoint that a lot of communities, not only in Rhode Island, but across the country are experiencing, such as, the fact that families have to work 2 to 3 jobs to put food on their table. They are cohabitating with extended families. They don't have the ability to work from home, etc. And so when you're talking about the census, which already had many issues going into this year, we're experiencing a realistic picture of not funding the census adequately, and then you're having an administration in Washington D.C. with the current president instilling and stoking fear that I think has resonated in communities like Central Falls, where there are concerns sharing their information with the federal government. Yeah,
so Mayor, I'm looking forward to having my Take It Out tour with you and Maria, and down Dexter or Broad or wherever to meet with dozens of small businesses in your community, and also we get out there. One of the reasons I'm getting out talking to these businesses actually is to talk to them about the census, the value of the census. They should be telling their customers about it. We should be really pushing hard on that. So I'm looking forward to that. Maria, Council President, and soon to be mayor. We never count anything for sure, but I'm telling you, God willing, we're looking forward to working. I've had great relationships with Central Falls, especially with Mayor Diossa. Looking forward to having the same with you. But tell us some of the top issues with you. I mean, I was just with you a few weeks back at a food food bank strategy that the Joshua Elijah project. Yeah, yeah. Close, Elijah. Don't tell George.
I hope he's not watching.
Don't. I've had him on here before. Don't tell him that. But anyways, yeah, tell us a little bit about what's going on in Central Falls before we dig into the census.
Yeah, thank you, Lieutenant Governor. So it's been a challenge here in Central Falls, right, with people completing the census, and even with the census takers now. I have to say that the city has done a great job. We have all done a great job in making sure that when we host city events, we have census takers there and speaking to the residents about the importance of the census and trying to have them complete it. People are still afraid. And that's where we come in because they don't speak English. A lot of them are afraid to complete the census with somebody who doesn't speak their language. And this is where we come in and try to help. It's still a challenge, though. I mean, I have to thank the census takers that are out every day because I see them throughout the day knocking on doors and asking the questions. I've seen where people do not want to respond to the census. So I'm asking that the community responds to them. So they came to my door. I already completed mine. My mom's was completed, but second and third floor weren't completed. They were not home. I helped them. I gave them information that they needed. I think in the city here, we just need to continue making sure that when we host events where a lot of people are gathering, although they're not supposed to be gathering, as long as we meet the social distancing guidelines, that we continue speaking about the census and the importance of the census and making sure that the residents are completing it. But it's definitely a challenge for us right here.
Yeah, it is. And I think that it's, every community is going to have that challenges. That's why we're going to kind of craft the effort based on the challenges that our communities have, right? I mean, so, my hometown of Cumberland, where I've been a mayor, I know it's just as important to have everybody in our town fill it out as much as everybody filling it out in Central Falls, and we got to make sure we deliver that message, because in the end, Rhode Island is going to be taken as one unit. Although some of the communities are going to benefit based on their own figures and their own numbers, but Rhode Island's going to get measured based on the total, total amount of the applications that get filled out, the census that get filled out. Louis, Ben, run the 30-second tape before we get into Louis's stuff. This got to give a little overview of what I think people need to know. Thanks, Ben, for doing that. I hope that we heard that. I could read that. I was too late to push my button that gave me the sound, but I think that we got that. Louis, unmute yourself and explain what you and Jordan are doing right now, as on your outreach project that is very important, and that's one of the reasons that we're here tonight, is to highlight the work that you're doing along with Jordan and those efforts to get these censuses filled out.
So let's start off by thank you for having me on here, Lieutenant Governor. And also the Mayor Diossa failed. I don't know if we brought this up, but he's actually the co-chair of what's called the Rhode Island Complete Count Committee. And through his efforts is what the state has put together. Director Hawkinson, prior to the COVID pandemic, was Scott Alexander. They've put together a coalition of nonprofits to try to help restore or at least maintain some of the balance in the census taking, and assist the federal government in the Bureau, because it's not the state function as we saw in the tape there. It's actually a constitutional function that is reserved for the federal government. But Rhode Island, looking at the numbers and the stats and with all the other concerns, has taken the opportunity to invest some effort into trying to make sure that we have some, and this is prior to the pandemic, but that we would have some kind of systems in place to help and assist. So for the Rhode Island Complete Count Committee, it's been a challenge, just like everyone else. How do you operate under the new social norm that we've been? First of all, the social norm in phase one was a lot worse. But the current norm has allowed us to do a lot more work. We have about 2 weeks left since it was changed from July to September 30th, before they shut down the operation and the taking and the answering on the questionnaires. And so we have a lot of exciting stuff going on. We've put together, for the end, no different than what we would have done in a political campaign, we've put together same efforts, the phone banking efforts, the field, which is being run by the Bureau, and then we have media, and all the attention is being driven now towards the end, because we're about to hit a hallmark here. Hopefully we'll be able to surpass the 2010, and we're right on its cusp. And so I don't know if anyone else has been following it, but Jordan and I definitely have, and Jordan is our field director, so she's the boots on the ground on this campaign on a daily basis. And there was a point where it was just delivery of materials to different places because we were in the lockdown. But I really want to pass the torch on to her, because she can bring you up to speed on what's going on with United Way and some of the other stuff that's going on currently as we're planning going on. And on September 19th launch, which is we're going to have a final countdown. With that, Ben, if we can move to Jordan, and she could bring the audience up to speed and see if anyone wants to get involved and have a little bit of fun. Listen, we're at the end. We're at the end of this. Let's try to surpass what we've done in the past and not be last on anything anymore. I believe Rhode Island can do it, and we're really close to it now. And so that's where I'm at. I'm excited. Me and Jordan all day today and yesterday, we've had this excitement about, hey, we're closing in on the gap. Can we do it? And so, Jordan, Come on,
Yeah,
let's
Jo-
feed the public.
Jordan, tell us what people need to know as we're coming down the stretch here and the work that you've done. And I'll start filling in a couple of blanks with, I know you're a part of a number of people who are, working with Mayor Diossa and others to make sure that we're getting it into all 39 cities and towns. But give us the overview, unmute yourself, and give us the overview of the things that you're working on with Lewis. And welcome. You almost got it. There, you got it now.
Yeah, I got it. Awesome.
There you go.
Thank you for having me on. So on Friday, we're going to kick off 10 days for 10 years. The United Way is going to kick us off with that event and a press conference from our delegation here in Rhode Island. And a lot of our elected officials to get us excited and interested. And I think one of the really great things about this campaign is it's been centered around our community partners through a grant program by the Rhode Island Foundation. And so we've been able to work with the community partners to help them get folks counted and help spread the word about the census. So over the 10 days that we're going to be working on 10 days for 10 years, we're going to highlight a lot of those community partners and create events that, are around the state and in our hard to count communities with the community partners that we've been working with. So, giving Rhode Island that last push so that we can definitely end up beyond where we were in 2010.
So Jordan, if people are watching this, listening to this, by the way, share it, please. If you're watching this, share this out to your network. This is very critical, important information we're talking about tonight. As Jordan just says, it's 10 days of work right now for 10 years of resources, right? 10 years of resources, potentially 10 years of representation in Washington, D.C. as well. So, Jordan, tell us how they can, if somebody wanted to get involved, they want to hear more about this, tell us how they could kind of contact you and the work that you and Lewis are doing right now.
Yeah, certainly. I think the first thing is if you want to get involved, reach out to your friends and family and ask them if they've been counted. I think we're at the point in Rhode Island where a lot of people have been counted, and now it's going to be up to each of us to reach into our networks and figure out how we can make sure everyone we know is counted. And we know everyone's dealing with the effects of this health pandemic. So it's also a great time to reach out to your friends and family and see how they're doing and make sure that they get counted, because obviously the funding for the next 10 years as we go through the recovery process is going to happen based on that census. So that's where you can start. I think then the second thing is think about your employees or the businesses that you work with. Send them a note to get counted. You need the business data not just for funding that flows to Rhode Island, but has been said, the statistics to grow your business. Where are you going to locate the next branch of your business? Is it viable in the location that it is? Are you considering moving? All of that's going to be based on census data, and it needs to be a complete and accurate count. So reach out to the vendors you work with, your employees, and let them know that they should be counted just like you're being counted. And then if you want to do a little bit more and get riled up, join us at the press conference on Friday at 10:30 at the Waterfire Center, and listen to folks about the census in an appropriately social distant way, and get excited and pick up a yard sign or some coloring books to share in your community. Again, reminding folks to get counted, and look for the events that we'll be posting and will hopefully be in the media over the next 10 days of the census.
And is there, Lewis, you mentioned some phone banking. Are you looking for more people to do the phone banking with you? And is that an opportunity to, part-time employment of some sort, or is it looking all volunteers right now?
So we are, because we're at the very end, Lieutenant Governor, we have already installed all the phone banking through College Unbound, and there was some volunteers. Jordan can tell you about Age Friendly Rhode Island, and also we actually have a firm out there doing the professional central phone banking for us, giving us stats every night. We're out of time. We're down to the wire, so any volunteers, believe me, we welcome you. Want to volunteer? We will find a spot for you, and we will provide you a list. But right now, the phone banking's been going on. We just hit Central Falls again for a second time. And I wanted to mention something else because this wasn't recognized either, but Council President Rivera has jumped in on the Central Falls created his own Central Falls Complete Count Committee. If correct me if I'm wrong, with the mayor and the council staff there, that's also taking an independent initiative within Central Falls as well. So a lot of work has gone to try to balance these numbers, get these numbers where they actually belong. Because we know that the president has put this huge pressure on trying to have a less than count in communities like Central Falls and Providence, Woonsocket, Newport, Pawtucket. And so it's been a pushback by the state to try to get us in nationally as well. And today, I don't know if it's out, but on the 17th, tomorrow, the California court's going to be making a ruling on whether the census is going to continue on to October 31st. But right now we're stuck with the 30th, and that's what we're pushing to try to finish it out by the 30th.
Yeah. So, Maria, tell us a little bit about what you've done and what Louis just talked about. Then I want to go to James and get a perspective, not just in Central Falls, but a statewide perspective, because, as Louis mentioned, and I did mention earlier, that he's heading up and chairing the statewide effort on this. But Maria, share with us the type of things that you're doing in Central Falls right now that Louis just talked about. You got to unmute yourself, though. Nice.
Thank you. With the committee here in Central Falls, I know that every time that there is an event, they have census takers. We have youth that go out there. We've hosted events at the high rises and asked the residents at the high rises to come down and complete the census. And they go door to door, making sure that they try to get everybody who is at the high rises. When we have the Elijah Project in the city, we make sure that we have somebody from the committee there, a few individuals from the committee there, asking the people who are coming to pick up their food, whether it's in a car or walking, if they've completed the census. If not, while they're waiting, making sure that they complete the census with them. So there's a lot that's been going on. I'm not sure if the mayor wants to jump in, if Progreso Latino has also been working with this and how they're involved with the committee as well.
Absolutely. I think what we recognize from day one, with all the rhetoric going on and coming out of Washington, is that we really had to count on our trusted partners to message the importance and the benefits of filling out the census. And although we won't know until tomorrow if they will extend the deadline to October 31st, for the people who may not believe this is a census that's going to impact us, remember, we're going to have to live with the information gathered for the next 10 years, information that would translate into dollars coming into Rhode Island for the next 10 years, funding coming for education, health, infrastructure, etc. From a political standpoint, there's going to be lines drawn again for different districts. So a lesser count will mean that there could be pockets in Rhode Island, especially in the urban core, that can be left out without clear representation. And so there's a lot at stake. And the Rhode Island Complete Count Committee has done a great job, an amazing job of raising private funds through the Rhode Island Foundation and United Way, and through the state and the legislature and the governor putting in some dollars. Everyone is up to the task. And I'm very grateful with Jordan and Louis for the hands-on approach, treating this like a grassroots campaign. And we're looking to call on everyone and anyone in Rhode Island to help close this in the final home stretch of the last few weeks before it closes out.
Yeah, give us there's going to be people that are watching this from all around the state of Rhode Island. Clearly, with the leadership you provided in the city, with Council President as well, very important. But there are other efforts going around the state as well, right, James, that are fleshing out a count in East Greenwich or Barrington, or there's an advantage to every community to be filling this out. So give us some of the inside, thoughts and strategies to, get the Foster Gloucester. I mean, get the Newport, get the Providence. Every community counts, right?
Absolutely. And so,
Yeah.
and we've communicated pretty much to every community in Rhode Island, connected with leaders in those communities to help bring that message out there. We've been very active through social media, through radio, through television, every possible way to get the message out there. But look, if there is an inaccurate count in, let's say, my community of Central Falls, or in other urban communities, or any community, not only will that community feel the impact, the whole state will feel an impact. And so we're Rhode Island, we're very small. We know someone or have access to people in many of these communities, and making a simple phone call or shooting a text of simply asking, did you fill out the text message? Can you send this message out? Asking to 5 people, have they fill out the census? We underestimate the power of connecting with folks without the assumption that they fill out the census. The other day we were on a Zoom, and one person had mentioned that they text 5 people, and one of them hadn't fill out the census. So that's one person. And so Louis can give you more of the detail of what's happened in these specific communities as far as outreach, because he and Jordan have been boots on the ground. As you mentioned.
Yeah. Well, I know that in the Portuguese community, I was at a lieutenant governor meeting over a year ago in D.C. and there's Marie Fraley from Rhode Island, actually taught at the Rhode Island College for many years, and I've got to know her through the different Portuguese club, including the Lusitana Club. But they're out there saying every vote count, every registration counts, and they're focusing on the Portuguese community. Well, we want everybody in the Portuguese community to sign up. We want everybody in the Hispanic community to sign up, and the Irish and the French, and on and on and on, right? We want Sonny and Louis to sign up, right? Our buddy Sonny and Louis to sign up, in the Asian community. So, but I want to be, and I'm going to get to Louis and Jordan about more of the outreach. But, one of the things that we're covering right now is the idea of, phone calls that are going into people's homes. We've had, misrepresentation on people collecting their unemployment, people using, doing an identity theft thing, and other ways that, there's a lot of fraud going on right now in terms of like taking advantage of people, using the phone lines to do that, using the knock on the doors. So tell us how, as people contact them, I'm sure you're going to be thinking about this. How do they know that they're dealing with someone who has given them the accurate information? We want them to answer the calls. If we're doing a phone bank on the census, we want people to answer the calls, and a lot of people, shy away from that. But tell us how they can feel comfortable, why they're going to feel comfortable getting this information. Anybody can weigh in on that, Louis or Jordan or Maria, Mayor. But I think it's an important piece right now, because as we're covering a lot of the things that are going on, especially in the small business issues, it's continually coming up that people are suspect of potentially people knocking on their door or making a phone call. So how are they going to how are we identifying the people who are in the field in a way that people can know that they're dealing with somebody that has their best interest at heart here?
So we can start out with the only people that are knocking on the doors are people from the Census Bureau, federal government. They're showing up with a badge around their neck. Okay. The Census Bureau questionnaires are very limited in information. It's your household. It does ask for your birthday and your race, background, and whether you own or you have a mortgage on your property. So that's the limitations on there. There's no social security number. There's no questions regarding your nationality or your origin or legal status. Now, here's the fun part about the phone banking. Jordan, myself, and Galen, we sat down specifically and went through a script. We wrote a script specific to just the census about taking it. So any questions you get on the census are going to be directed at whether you have taken the census, and if you haven't, whether you're willing to patch through on that moment to the Census Bureau. So what I mean by that is when you're getting these professional phone calls now, they're going to ask you, have you taken the census? And if you say you haven't, they're going to ask you whether you're willing to take it right now, and they'll patch you through directly to the Bureau of Census. So there's no intermediate person taking your information. You're going directly. The other option is if you don't want someone knocking on your door, if you don't want to do the phone, you have the option of doing the questionnaire that was sent to your home, or you have the option of getting online or calling yourself. I did it right away. I did it that night. It took me about 5 minutes when it first opened up to get online on my phone. It was around 1:30 in the morning. I'm laying in bed, and I did my census. That's how easy it was. I wanted to try to do it at 12, but I fell asleep. So it took me until 1:30 in the morning. I woke back up. I missed my deadline because I wanted to be the first one. All right. I know that Alaska was the first person that actually did it. Some native up in Alaska, up in a rural area. But we have right now at disposal our technology today. We have so many options. We don't have to wait for someone to knock on our door. And by the way, they're going to come to your door at least 12 times. So they're not going away until it's over. So get it done. Get it done. And if you think that it's think about, we're talking about 10 years. 10 years, that's how much it's going to affect us. Your mind's going to change. If you're one of those non-believers, you just like everyone else. I never thought I was going to be my mother, right? I couldn't believe I'm not going to be like you. I'm like my mother. I grew up. I became a more mature person and more realistic. The same thing happens to the rest of us. So if you're young and you think it doesn't apply to you, 10 years from now, you're going to be still feeling the effects. So for me, I'm telling you right now, we're at the end. We're about to break a hallmark line, that blue line. Help us get to it. Let's get it done. Let's finish this off. And Jordan, if you have any comments on this, because you're very good at pumping up the public, let's finish up here. Let's do it now.
I think you did it, Luis. We're ready to
I
go.
agree.
Let's make sure everyone gets counted. And if you have some free time, send us a message and let us know you want to volunteer. Because not only are we doing the paid phone calls, we're doing volunteer calls with Age Friendly Rhode Island. So we're checking in on older adults and talking about the census at the same time. And to your question about safety, we are telling folks, the same thing, that this isn't a solicitation call for money, and just letting folks know that it's a safe call and they can save themselves and knock at the door. So save yourself a knock at the door and let the census worker go to somebody else's house 12 times and get yourself counted.
Hey, Lieutenant Governor, I want to also give a thanks to all the community partners that we've been talking about. And I can't mention them all. There's way too many. But the Rhode Island Foundation actually spent a lot of money with about 63, what we call grantees, 63 nonprofit organizations that have been working and have had to modify their plans along the way. In that same process, we've picked up traction with other organizations that said it was important to them as well. And they've been doing it either with their own funding, right, or with or just volunteers. West Warwick was a perfect example. There was a process of phone banking into West Warwick for an extended period of time by volunteers. And so all these people, whether for me and for Jordan, thank you for all the help, because this was, at the end of the day, what's helped us to get to this point right now. But I'll remind you that we still have 14 more days. So if you have any tricks left in your bag, please pull them out right now.
Yeah, and what you just talked about, Louis, I think is very important for people to understand is that this information that you just described and the amount of time it'll take to fill out the application, if someone's anybody calling asking for your social security number, you got to hang up on them. This is not appropriate behavior by anybody, including anybody that is representing that they're doing a census. And if you feel as you got to knock on the door, like Louis said, there's identification. There's formal identification that they can show you to make sure that you're talking to somebody that is, again, has your best interest in mind. So I think it's very important, Louis, what you've talked about in terms of the fact we just have to. I just know, because of the experience we're having in the small business community right now on the unemployment issues, and also with the Attorney General's office, that there's people out there right now that unfortunately are taking advantage of situations. So I just wanted to alert people there that the information that you talked about is not personal information to the degree of Social Security or any other information that somehow would compromise their identity.
And that's actually correct, Lieutenant Governor. The only thing that's being provided that's of any significance, and it is important to some people, is your birth date and where you live at. I mean, some of that used to be public record at one point in the
Sure.
voter file. Is no longer public. It's just your birth year. But the rest of the information, your name, you give that out every place you go. So it is still limited information going out, but it's not your Social Security, and so more work would have to go into someone that's trying to get additional information on you. So the public, and if any of your business owners want to help out, I was just sitting here thinking, listen, have them reach out to you or connect to us. We still have lawn signs still available, and we still have what we call these palm cards that have information on them, and they could put them on their counters at the businesses or on their windows and help out just by reminding everyone else that it's still a live project for the next 14 days. And I promise you call today, you'll get it today. Jordan, myself, or someone will drive to wherever they're at, and we'll make sure. That's what we've been doing.
Yes.
We're not playing around. We're trying to make sure that this continues on the traction that it's been getting.
Well, I'll connect Jordan in with the small business coalition that we've been able to form over the last several months. They have a reach out to over 2,000 small businesses right now and counting. So if you're a small business out there, you can go to rismallbusiness.org and register as a coalition member. We're taking them from all 39 cities and towns. And so, Louis, we'll make sure that Jordan gets connected in with the leadership. They have a Monday call at 11 o'clock. Why don't we plan on having you at least, go give 5 minutes, and then I'll prep them before the call, and then they can distribute that out to that rismallbusiness.org website.
Thank you.
For the first 25 businesses, they'll get a T-shirt.
Come on. What does that T-shirt look like? Oh, it looks good. You look good in purple. You remind me of the,
You're on mute. You're on mute.
You're on mute. There you go.
Rhode Island is counting on you in multiple languages.
There you go. I like that. And then you got the purple on. I was on a call with all our Alzheimer's researchers today, and just think about the things that we're working on. But there's all these different networks that we should be able to communicate with. I love the idea that you're working with the AG Health in Rhode Island, Jordan. We work directly with them in our office as well. And by the way, we just secured a several $100,000 grant to help the Alzheimer's projects in Rhode Island, help the people who are suffering with that. And our office had a little bit to do with that. But yes, so Louis, we want to make sure that I don't know whether we lost Mayor Diossa or whether he got the call from his young child or not, but he may have. It's possible.
Yeah, Mayor Diossa had to step out. He said he had to sign off in a minute, so I don't think he'll be back.
So Ben, is there anything that has come up other than the fact that you keep telling people to share things? Otherwise, I think we'll give everybody the last word here, and we'll be moving on.
Yeah. So that's. Do we know if there was a count for? No, I think we're good. So it's just it's just the census stuff, and that video did not have sound to it, so I'll play that at the end.
Yeah, that's a good way to move that issue. Maria, last words for you.
I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity for being here, and Jordan and Louis as well, for all the work that you've been doing. To our community, please make sure you complete the census. It's easy. It's going to take you 3 to 5 minutes to complete it. It's not too late, and all of your information will be safe. You can contact me personally, and I'm sure you can contact Jordan if you have any questions. And yes, it's very true. You don't want someone knocking on your door 12 times. Try to complete it before they start knocking on your door if they haven't already, because I had somebody knock on my door already 5 times. It wasn't for me, it was for somebody else. But I helped them in making sure that the census was completed for the other residents in the other apartments. So try to complete it, go online, make a call. If you see a census taker, stop them, complete it. It's extremely important. We do not want to lose a seat in Congress. That's going to hurt us in the long run.
And Maria, thank you. I mean, you are really focused on Central Falls, as you should, but I also know that your work goes well beyond Central Falls in the state, and down to the Puerto Rico. I mean, you were unbelievable, instrumental in reacting to that. The hurricane we had a few years back, and so your leadership is very well recognized. And again, we're going to look forward to working with you and leading the community of Central Falls, in the next few years. So thank you so much for being here. And we'll stay in touch.
I did have one question.
Okay.
Due to COVID, thousands of students left before April 1st. Do we know if any of their count was captured for Rhode Island?
I can take that one if you want. So
Go ahead, Jordan.
students have a couple different ways that they will be counted. One is called a group quarters count. So it's where they would have been on April 1st, 2020. If they were in a dorm, the university has a way to count them in a group quarters count. Now, we also know that a lot of students moved from housing that wasn't on campus. So those students, if you have a way to reach out to them, please do. They should be counted where they would have normally been on April 1st, 2020. So if you were a student at Brown living on the east side of Providence and decided to go home after COVID, you should be counted in Providence. So make sure to fill out the census. The other thing that I'd like to add for a student is, while we would love you to reach out to all of your housemates you would have been living with, you do not have to. You can go online or call in and just get yourself personally counted. If you can't track down those roommates that you were living with, you can make sure that at least you get yourself counted. And so if you're also, a parent of one of those students, you can ensure that they get themselves counted where they would have normally been on April 1st, 2020.
Great. Good question. And thank you for having the answer. I'm going to go to Lewis, and I'm going to go back to Jordan, kind of last comments, and then we'll play the video, and I'll make my plea right now to everybody. Share this out. The more that we share this out, the more people are going to understand that the census is critical to our state in so many ways. I mean, it has to do with school funding. It has to do with other types of, Medicare and Medicaid and all these federal programs that impact the state of Rhode Island and impact every family in the state of Rhode Island. So let's share this out. Let's add to the count. We'll have thousands of people who get reached on this, community conversation. And let's make sure that if we haven't filled it out, let's make sure we fill it out. If you know family members or friends haven't filled it out, let's make sure you fill it out. Louis, you got last word, but unmute yourself, and then I'll go to Jordan, and then we'll wrap it up.
Real simple. Lieutenant Governor, you mentioned something earlier that passed me, and I just remembered about it. We're currently right now, it's not just about Central Falls. It's not about Providence. It's not about, Pawtucket or Woonsocket. We're right now phone banking into the 100 lowest track, what we call the hard to count tracks, right, across the state. So it doesn't matter. And we've seen at one point New Shoreman was like non-counting because of the way that they're structured. Their numbers were extremely low. That's no longer the case because that's different maximum. But we had the Westerly, the Exeters, and we had other communities that weren't self-responding. And so these have been what we call low tracks. And so currently in our phone banking efforts, they're being reached as well. So we've gone all the way across the state right now I think Barrington's probably the only place. Barrington has their own thing going on where they want to be 100% complete counted. And so they've been leading the charge all along. So kudos to them, whatever committees or whatever groups they're using up there to push along. They've systematically been at the top the entire time. But I appreciate the opportunity to talk about this with you today, Lieutenant Governor. And at the end of the day, let's remember, this is really our constitutional duty. If you're a patriot, let's be honest, this is written right into our Constitution, and it's very specific, and there's a specific purpose. And at the end of the day, if you think it doesn't affect you, think about the roads. This is the kind of money that's spent on the roads as well. And if we don't get the money back from the federal government, that's also going to suffer. And we're always complaining about potholes. I think that's Rhode Island's number one complaint is potholes. So think about it that way. But thank you to the audience, and thank you for Maria for continuing to push, and obviously the mayor for his hosting of the Complete Count Committee. And I can't I can't say enough about my work partner. One of the greatest ethics I've seen in work and is in Jordan, and it was almost a not happening situation, and her hire was just a miracle. I love that it happened, and I'm really excited that she's been a part of this with me.
Yeah, so Louis, and we've worked together for many years as well, and you know that my theme has been this, especially as a statewide office holder, is this number 39. There's 39 cities and towns. Every one of them matters. Everybody that lives in those communities matter. The communities that make up those communities matter. So when you're outreaching the way you did, I want people here to understand that this is leadership that Louis and Maria and Jordan are providing, along with Mayor Diossa, that is impacting everybody in the state, all 39 cities and towns. Mm-hmm. And that's why we need to respond in a way that makes sure that we get everybody counted. So Jordan, you get last word, and then we'll wrap it up with the little 30-second reminder. As Louis just said, it's a constitutional mandate, and it's as people who live in our state, they have an obligation to make sure that they fill out this census, because we want to make sure that we are counted in a way that matters. So, Jordan, last word for you.
Well, thank you, Lieutenant Governor, so much for having me on, and thank you, Council President Rivera, for all of your work, and thank you to Louis for being a great partner in this. And I just want to say, Rhode Island is we're a small state, right? We all know each other. Everybody knows somebody else. We're all 60 degrees of separation. So I just think this is the time. Let's lean into that network as much as we can. Call our friends, call our family, call our distant cousins that we haven't talked to in years. And let's, find folks and make sure people get counted, because if we lean into that network, it seems like together we can do this and get us over the threshold and keep that congressional seat. So
thank you, Jordan. Yeah, thank you, Louis. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, James. We'll end with this, with the clip, but I do want to just say and I know that people watch this, and I know that this community conversation, and they respond to it. Let us know if what you heard tonight helped you move and fill out the census. Let us know that. Let us know that you're going to share that with information. While we're still live, you can share this broadcast out to all your networks, and if that gets shared out and that gets shared out, I mean, we've had as much as 10, 20,000 reaches on these calls, so that's going to really help. And I don't know how many people can will fill it out, as a result of this program, but let's get 1,000 people as a result of this broadcast tonight that actually signs out and delivers the message. So, Ben, do you have any questions or anything that needs to be addressed before we sign off?
We just had one more question from Heidi again about long-term care facilities being able to assist in the count, since many of them are still in crisis mode. That was the last question that we had.
Anybody want to field that? Jordan, you've got to unmute.
If you're an assisted living facility or a nursing home, you also get counted under the group quarters count that I explained for the students. So it's a similar count. The place where you're living provides a count to the U.S. Census. So folks should be counted that way.
Do they have to apply? Do they have to fill something out, Jordan, or is that just a function of them living there in terms of that group count?
It's a function of them living there, and the facility provides the count to the U.S. Census Bureau. So the U.S. Census Bureau, before the start of Census 2020, identified all the nursing homes and assisted living facilities in Rhode Island, and then solicited the count effective April 1st, 2020.
Great. Ben, if anybody has any questions about the census, they can call our office, put that up. They can also listen, and email us, and I'll leave it this. Let's stay safe out there. Let's get the economy going. Let's get the census signed, and let's do everything we possibly can to make this state of Rhode Island everything that it can be. And one of the functions immediately, right now, even though we're dealing with the economic issues that we're dealing with the health issues we're dealing with. Make sure we're wearing our masks, wash your hands, keep the distancing, but we also have to take care of business. and taking care of business, not only keeping yourself healthy with a walk in the park and maybe around the golf every once in a while, or a bike ride. Let's stay healthy. Let's keep those activities up. But one of the things that needs to be done right now, this is urgent. This is a time-sensitive issue. Let's fill out the census, and let's make sure that everybody who lives in our state is counted. We reap the benefits of that. The more that we get to that 100% figure, we reap the benefits of that. Please run the video, and we'll see you next week on the our virtual town hall on Tuesdays at noon, or we'll see you at the community conversation next Wednesday evening at 7 o'clock. Thanks, Ben. Thanks, everybody watching.
What is the 2020 census? Every 10 years, the census records everyone living in this country. It's written in the Constitution and comes in a questionnaire that counts everyone who lives at your address on April 1st. The data can be used to inform funding for services like fire stations, schools, clinics, and representation that affect your community. Shape your future. Start here. Visit 2020census.gov.